Laura Loomer is a very good patriot. She is a very strong person. And I saw her yesterday for a little while. She makes recommendations of things and people. And sometimes I listen to those recommendations like I do with everybody. I listen to everybody and then I make a decision. But I saw her yesterday. She was at the ceremony. And she'll always have something to say, usually very constructive.
What did she recommend?
She recommended certain people for jobs.
Laura Loomer is a very good patriot. So in this video today, Sam Seder of the Majority Report has a little chat about Donald Trump's buddy, Laura Loomer, who is bonkers. I mean, this is a crazy crackpot. You look like you take an encyclopedia, look up mixed nuts, and it's just a picture of Laura Loomer with crossed eyes. You know, come on. Anyway, the head of the NSA and the right-hand person at the NSA and Laura Loomer's like, you ought to get rid of these people. They're disloyal. Out. There they go. Laura Loomer, a very good patriot. Why don't we watch this together? We're going to talk about Laura Loomer, the very good patriot, as described by our very own, very stable genius. And then I'll have some thoughts that I probably won't be able to keep to myself, and I want to know what you think in the comments. Roll them.
This morning, I guess it was, the director of National Security Agency, the agency that wiretaps people and cyber espionages other countries, maybe people in this country. I think there's a decent argument as to whether we should have an NSA and how wide their powers should be. The guy who ran it, General Timothy Hall, I think they were Hoff, also headed the U.S. Cyber Command, was let go today, along with his civilian deputy at the NSA, a woman named Wendy Noble. Now, I'm not, I will concede that I don't really know much about Timothy Haw or Wendy Noble. I can understand maybe that an administration comes in and their national security advisors tell them we should fire these people because they said that Russia was trying to hack into emails or China was trying to hack into emails or something like that. And we don't want them talking about that stuff or whatever it is. What's fascinating is that they seem to be have been fired at behest of Laura Loomer. Who is Laura Loomer? Well, you may remember her from chaining herself to the Twitter front door because they had they had banned her from Twitter at one point.
Well, so Uber and Lyft banned her for anti-Muslim tweets, and I think that probably was related to her banning from Twitter and Instagram and all those places.
Okay, and then she changed herself to that and said she was a political prisoner of sorts. And then she was like advising Trump for a long time, and people wanted her off the campaign trail, and so they bumped her. They hired somebody hired Milo Yiannopoulos to come up with all sorts of like dirt on her, and he takes credit for getting her separated from Trump. And supposedly Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, she was brought on to keep all of the people like Laura Loomer away from Donald Trump because Donald Trump is so susceptible to people who may be a little bit emotional, let's just say, in their advice. And here is Donald Trump explaining why he had fired multiple national security people based upon Laura Loomer's advice. And Laura Loomer, after the fact, well, go ahead, listen to this.
Also,
can you tell us a little bit about your meeting with Laura Loomer and Mike Waltz today and how that came about?
Laura Loomer is a very good patriot. She is a very strong person. And I saw her yesterday for a little while. She makes recommendations of things and people. And sometimes I listen to those recommendations like I do with everybody. I listen to everybody and then I make a decision. But I saw her yesterday. She was at the ceremony. And She'll always have something to say, usually very constructive.
What did she recommend?
She recommended certain people for jobs.
Adding to the administration, not
Who did she
not
recommend?
firing.
Well, she'll recommend that too. But yesterday she recommended some people for jobs.
Did she have anything to do with the NSC aides who were ousted?
No, not at all.
Do you know how many, sir? Do you know how many from the NSC? Was it 5, a dozen?
I really don't know.
One of my absolutely favorite things about this administration is how much they don't know. The president of the United States doesn't know. I don't know how many people. Pete Hegseth doesn't know. Waltz doesn't know how people got onto the chat. Maybe they got sucked in there. Yeah, they don't. I mean, who can say? Who would know these things? We're just running the country. I don't know.
There were a couple.
Who did Laura recommend hiring?
Well, I don't want to say that, but she's recommended some good people over the years. She's been in the party a long time. She's done a good job.
Do you trust your national security staff is doing what you want them to do?
Sure I do. We've done very well. We've had big success with the Houthis, as you probably know. Nobody's been able to do it like us. And
The Houthis and the Blowfishes.
they were shooting the boats out of the water. They were sinking ships. That's what they would do. They're getting a big charge out of sinking ships.
Yeah, they love.
And unfortunately, they're associated with Iran very closely. So they have to stop that. But we've hit that.
Well, I mean, before we get to Laura Loomer, we should tell you that there are reports of literally dozens of civilians that were killed in these attacks on the Houthis, and that the Trump administration has basically said, we don't care about civilian casualties at all. I mean, let's be clear. Whenever you wage war, you're going to have civilian casualties. The rules of engagement under Biden were just simply stricter in terms of how much civilian casualties would be considered to allow for a strike to be viable. Those have been completely blown out by the Trump administration because he is a man of peace. But aside from that, Laura Loomer, she, just to give you a background, because, you know, I don't want to cast aspersions on somebody, but she left Mount Holyoke College after one semester because she felt like she was being targeted because she was conservative. That's fine. She went to Barry University in Miami Shores, Florida. I'm not familiar with that university, but she did get a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. So if you're wondering how she might have gone from locking herself, chaining herself to Twitter a couple of years ago because she had been banned by Twitter and banned by Uber and left because of her anti-Muslim Islam things. I mean, she also worked for James O'Keefe at Project Veritas. She was, I think, a big part of the Stop the Ground Zero mosque, I feel like, marches that were going on were completely bizarre. And that's how she's qualified to get half a dozen national security advisors fired. She said in a statement after the fact that she appreciated President Trump taking seriously her vetting that she provided. And I mean, I'm curious as to what kind of vetting Laura Loomer is capable of doing on national security, like the head of the NSA, that other people in the government don't have the ability to do. Like, where did she get that vetting? Is she just doing this as a journalist herself?
Quote, I'm late to the NYPD press conference because I couldn't find a non-Muslim or Uber Lyft driver for over 30 minutes, she wrote in a Twitter post. Someone needs to create a non-Islamic form of Uber or Lyft because I never want to support another Islamic immigrant driver.
I just find that fascinating that she was able to get this type of vetting that gets these people fired in 24 hours.
Who do you want to bet she used AI?
Maybe she was the person who also calculated the tariffs.
Maybe she's also the person that calculated the tariffs. That is hilarious. And just on that note of hilarity, I'm sharing with you here a picture of my retirement portfolio. This is not doctored. This is real. Whee! It's like a roller coaster none of us expect to survive. Let me know what you think in the comments.